Okay, so unless you've been living under a rock, you would have seen all the news headlines from all the trusted news outlets like the Sun newspaper or BBC News talking about the war in the Middle East. Of course, I'm being sarcastic about the trusted news outlets part. All jokes aside, every media outlet has been covering this story, with it being one that impacts the entire world. So today we're going to talk about, what's going on and how this could impact you as a business owner. So firstly, an immediate impact is going to be energy costs. Oil prices have already jumped, and around 20% of global oil actually passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which has been quite heavily disrupted, and a lot of things have just come to a complete standstill. So expect rising costs in fuel, which of course will impact any business directly or indirectly, which uses transport, delivery, or logistics. Also, operational costs in general. So, if you're in construction, logistics, restaurants, manufacturing, or any business that relies on heavy transport vans, you guys are going to be more affected than others, especially in the short term. I did see that UK energy bills are also forecasted to rise again, which apparently is going to add around £160 annually to household bills, which will moderately affect consumer spending, especially if they start to talk about the cost of living and the cost of living rising again. As soon as the media starts to talk about this more and more, and we could start to see consumer sentiment start to change. And of course, with this coming from the Sun, unfortunately, we don't actually know how true and factual this statement actually is, because unfortunately, the Sun, BBC, and a lot of these news outlets are more concerned with being first rather than being factual. Now, energy costs is just one part of this. No doubt there's probably going to be some disruption to global supply chains as well. The war's already affecting global shipping routes, so this is probably going to add on some shipping times, add higher insurance, and probably up freight costs as well. So these could also impact small businesses, especially if you're importing goods from Asia or the Middle East. But I'm being hopeful that we don't see long-term impact on consumer spending or inflation as well. But with energy and shipping affected, we may start to see some inflation waves. Like I said, hopefully not. But if this happens short term, we may start to see slight margin compression, but we're going to have to see how long the war actually lasts, and also how long it's talked about before the media starts to switch the attention elsewhere. Because considering the UK government said that Ukraine was one of the main reasons for inflation, I don't believe the war has stopped, but it's definitely a lot less spoken about in the media. And apparently inflation has started to come down slightly. So it does show you how much the media plays such a big part in sentiment in general. So be careful what you read, where you read it from as well, because I was a big fan of the Financial Times until recently. Some of the things they've been posting recently has started to make me feel I need to start looking elsewhere for some of the things that I personally consume as well. Anyway, with the uncertainty of war, we're probably going to see some delays on the Bank of England cutting rates, which is a little bit frustrating on the financing side. But look, again, we're going to have to see how this plays out. The next couple of weeks, of course, is going to tell us more. At this stage, I feel that we're going to have to be a little bit patient at the moment. And look, maybe we'll see some, energy subsidies, or maybe even a release of some of the oil reserves as well. Wouldn't get our hopes up on this one with this government, but maybe, we never know. And but look, I guess for anyone in renewables, this is definitely going to add pressure to accelerate renewables in general. The G7's already talking about emergency measures to stabilize the oil market. So the next few weeks is going to be interesting anyway, because if this continues for a long period of time, it's definitely going to bring some macro risk as well, which could cause some stagflation. Definitely going to slow economic growth. With costs rising, demand could start falling, which for business owners isn't great, but for acquirers and deal makers, it definitely brings a lot of opportunity for consolidation or roll-ups. and business owners looking to exit in general. Any fragmented market or essential services is going to be great for buy and build in that sort of macro climate as well. And some of the more attractive roll-up sectors are going to be, plumbing and heating companies, electrical contractors, fire and security, drainage, facilities management. All of those, they're going to be solid targets in my opinion. But it's very early days at the moment. But this is my general view of what's going on at the moment. But for now, if you are a business owner, try to diversify your suppliers, look at potential pricing adjustments, and just be very disciplined with cash flow. These are things you should be doing anyway, but in this time, definitely put a magnifying glass on those things right now.